How are you feeling?
Not great.
What happened?
I woke up and felt sick, and then about 9:30 I had cramps. 9:30 in the morning, and I couldn't eat, and I had cramps all day. And then about 7 p.m. I threw up. So we called the doctor, and she told us we needed to go to the hospital to get monitored. So it turns out my cramps are actually regular contractions, about 3 to 4 minutes apart. But they haven't caused me to dilate it. I mean, I'm barely dilated at 1, so which is normal. So that's good. It's not like, at this point, it's not progressing, but I have been having them all day, so that's not awesome. So that's what's going on. And my lips are chapped.
How do you feel right now? Not great.
Not great.
Are they, you think Grayson's feeling pretty great?
He seems to be okay. He's still moving, and they said his heart rate's pretty good. It was a little high when we came in, but it settled out. Oh, he's moving right now. There he is. Sounds like horses, we said. His heart. Oh,
okay.
Boy.
Yeah.
And I got my puke bag.
It's classy.
Totally classy.
It's blue. Okay.
Oh, I think I'm getting another one.
Oh no. Just reinsert like the little we're having technical difficulties.
It just hurts, honey.
Yeah, I know.
Can you see it? Is it delayed?
I guess it's delayed because it's not. I mean, it's a little. You can kind of watch it in action here on the video.
Because I might be. She told me if I lay on my side, they might not see.
This is what a contraction looks like. This is what that just looks like right there.
She said if I laid on my side, they might not monitor them right. You think I should turn back to my back?
If that one really hurt, then yes, because that one didn't really rate. I mean, that one. I mean, it was more than nothing, but.
Well, that one didn't hurt as bad as that one.
Oh, I mean, maybe
that you saw earlier. Oh, I just feel sick.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stop recording because you look so great. You feel great. I don't want you to. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Wish me luck.
Wish me luck.
Hey everybody, alright, so I had a craziness thing happen this week, and so I was going to share it in my 32-week update, and then I decided just to share it separately because that way it didn't really interfere with me talking about normal pregnancy stuff. So this is not my week 32 update, this is just a general life update. So yeah, so crazy thing. I meant to record this yesterday, but I was just really exhausted, so anyway. On Thursday morning, I woke up and I felt great, and then very, very quickly started to not feel very good. And I was even irritable about it, and I just didn't feel very good. And I told Kyle, I was getting myself ready because I was going to meet my mother for breakfast. And so I was getting ready before, because Sophie was not quite up yet, so it was a good opportunity, and Kyle was getting ready and blah, blah, and I was like, honey, I don't feel good. So I didn't feel horrible, I just felt off. It just didn't feel great. And so anyway, then got Sophie up. She was being a sweetheart. We got ready. We went out to breakfast. We got to breakfast and ordered food, and I was just feeling really sluggish and not great. We got our food, and I couldn't really eat much at the restaurant. I just literally couldn't eat much, and I started to feel not very good. And then I started getting these cramps, and it was just uncomfortable, and I was like, oh, I'm getting cramps, Mom, I don't know. So anyway, I just packed up my food, and then we ran to Babies R Us. My mom left her car at the restaurant, which is where we met, and she got in our car and we went to Babies R Us because I had coupons there where they were like 20% off of items, and it expired that day. So I was like, heck yeah. Like, you know, having a baby can be expensive, so I always look for really good deals or coupons or anything. So anyway, I was bound and determined those coupons were not going to expire, and I was going to go get something that we needed with them. So anyway, we went over there, and I kept having these occasional cramps, and normally I really love shopping, even when I can't really afford to buy much. I just like to shop. So, but I was not enjoying myself at all. I was very just sick, and I started feeling nauseous, and I just felt ill. So we finished shopping, we got in the car, and I told my mom, I was driving her back to the restaurant to her car, and I was like, I don't feel good at all. And she was like, I tell you what, let me run home and do some things, and then I'll come right over to your house, and I'll watch Sophie, and you can just rest. And I was like, that would be awesome, thank you so much. So dropped her off, you know, Sophie and I started heading home. I actually called Kyle, and on the way home, and I had him on my the speakerphone, and I was just like, you know, honey, I don't feel good. And I was like, he was just like, oh, you know, well, what can I do? And I'm like, nothing. I was like, I'm just, you know, sometimes when you don't feel good, it's not like, you know, someone can't help you, but you still just need to like share that you don't feel good. So that's what I was doing with him. I was just like, I don't feel good. And he was like, oh. And so after I hung up with him, I got a really bad cramp, is what I was calling them. It hurt so bad that I pulled over for a second. And I was like, oh my gosh. And finally went away, and I was like, okay. So, and then on the way home, I got one more that was painful like that. And then I got home, and I was just like, oh, I just felt horrible. And Sophie kept, she likes to jump on our bed. And Kyle, it drives us crazy because we're like, no, you know, because it's just dangerous. We have a really, we have a king size bed, and it's high. It's one of those beds that's high, like up off the ground, like it's very high, so it's just not safe. And she always gets up there and she'll be like, no, monkeys, you know, jumping on the bed. But then she's like jumping. I'm like, that song did not teach her anything, that no more monkeys jumping on the bed song. It had like the opposite effect. So anyway, she kept like doing that, and I was like, you're super cute, but I cannot handle this right now. So I literally picked her up, and I was like, brought her out of my bedroom and shut the door. And she can open all doors in our house except our bedroom door because it has a different type of handle. So I shut the door, and she just had like this tantrum because I took her out of the room. She just was like screaming. She was like, no, mama, and like, you know, just kept screaming. And I didn't have the strength to deal with it. So I just kind of, we have tile downstairs, you know, big, huge tile, and it's hard. So I dragged her onto the carpet so she could have her tantrum and not hurt herself. And I was like, I'm sorry, honey, cannot deal with this right now. I just like let her have her tantrum, and I went on the couch, and I was like, I was like waiting for her to stop throwing a fit. And sure enough, she yelled and screamed, and I was just feeling so awful. And then she stopped, like most kids her age, you know, she got over it. And she got up and went to her toy section that we have downstairs, and got like 2 books and brought them over and got on the couch with me, and just cuddled. I don't know if she could tell I didn't feel good or what, or if she felt bad, but for me, or she maybe felt bad because she'd been throwing a fit, I don't know. But she got really sweet, and she just laid on me, and so she's calling me right now. So anyway, I was reading a book to her and just like hoping my mom would get there soon because I just felt horrible. And at least Sophie was being really sweet, just cuddling with me and reading the story with me. And sometimes she would read it to me because, you know, kids she's 20 months, so she started to memorize books at this point. And so she has her favorite books where she's memorized. She's not reading yet, she's way too young for that, but she's memorized what's on certain pages. So I was letting her read to me about things, and anyway, it was just really, you know, whatever. And so my mom gets there, and I basically go into the bedroom, and I just like fall asleep. And my mom watches Sophie, which is wonderful. So I think Sophie napped most of the time anyway, so my mom just kind of hung out in case I needed her. But I kept waking up while I was sleeping with these cramps, and I felt really ill, and like I could vomit at any minute. And so Kyle got home, my mom left. She had dinner plans. My dad was in Sweden on a business meeting, so it was just my mom here. So she had dinner plans with my sister because she was by herself, you know, while my dad was out of the country. And so anyway, so she went off for her dinner plans, and she was scared to leave. She was like, I don't know if I want to leave. And I was like, Mom, go. I'm just sick, you know. But anyway, I just kept feeling worse and worse. And then finally at about 7:30, I just started throwing up and I was having really bad cramps, and I was like, okay, let's call my doctor. So Kyle called the doctor's office, and actually while I was vomiting, my mom came back. She had gone out to dinner and she just had this bad feeling, so she came back. So thankfully she got there while I was throwing up. So Kyle was like, here's Sophie, and she took Sophie so he could take care of me. And meanwhile, at the same time, our dog had been stung by a wasp. So we were like, the poor dog was like, his little paw, and Kyle was like, I don't know who to take care of. But anyway, so he called my doctor's office, and they always have an after hours doctor who will get back to you. So my doctor wasn't on call. It was one of the other doctors in the same building, or in the same office. So she called me and she was asking me to describe what's happening, and I told her that I was having these cramps, and that when I wasn't having the cramp I felt better, but I still felt ill and I was throwing up. And she was like, yeah, she's like, and I was like, I don't want to overreact. I really don't want to go to the hospital if I don't need to. I was like, but since it's been happening all day, I thought I should call. And she was like, yeah, you should call. It's a good thing that you called. And so she wanted me to go to L&D, labor and delivery. So I went up there. So my mom took the baby, and my dad was actually getting back that night. So my mom was like, I'm just going to take Sophie. My mom and dad are awesome, and they bought, they have an extra bed and toys and her favorite sippy cup and all that stuff at their house so she can spend the night. So my mom took Sophie to go spend the night, so we didn't have to worry about her. And we went up to the hospital, and they put me in, instead of putting me in a real room, they put me in like a triage room. They hooked me up, and so the nurse asked me a billion questions. I was still feeling really ill. As a matter of fact, I was like, can I have a barf bag thing? Because seriously. And so they hooked me up. The baby's heart rate was slightly accelerated, but fine. And that was probably just from the excitement. They hooked me up to the contraction monitor. And literally, she had me hooked up to it for literally just, not very long at all. And she was like, you're having contractions. And I was like, okay. So I had already suspected that, but I still was just calling them cramps because I was kind of in denial about it. And yeah, so it turns out I was having contractions about every 3 to 4 minutes apart. That was it, you guys. So, and they weren't, super painful. They weren't fun, but some of them hurt worse than others. Like some were really painful and some weren't. But I was having them like consistently. And so anyway, needless to say, they were like, okay, you need to stay the night. So I got moved into the antepartum room, into one of the antepartum rooms. I got my own room and everything, and a more comfortable bed, and yeah, so, and Grayson's heart rate, after the initial excitement, I guess, it was fine. His heart rate was great. He was moving fine. He didn't seem affected. I had a fever. So basically, to wrap up that whole long story, is that what happened was I caught something. I had some sort of illness, and it caused me to go into early labor, basically. It put stress on my body, which is so weird because you always hear that things can do that. You hear that stress can trigger contractions and early labor, and you hear that illnesses can and everything, but I never expect it to really happen. Hi, Sophia. What are you wearing? I bet she picked that out. Hi, Sophie. So anyway, I just kind of was in denial. So yeah, basically what happened is that I had some sort of illness, just a normal, I just caught a bug basically, and it caused me to go into just really, really early labor. The good news is that it wasn't causing me to dilate. I'm only dilated to 1, which is perfectly normal when it's your second baby and I'm already 8 months pregnant. That's nothing. When they checked, there was no blood, and they didn't really want to check too much because they don't want to, stimulate anything. You're welcome. She said thank you. I don't know why. So, but they were like, so it wasn't causing me to dilate. They caught it in time, blah, blah, blah. But basically, it just triggered that to happen. And then when I was throwing up and everything, I got dehydrated, so that made it worse. So basically, they just kept me overnight. My fever broke. Whatever bug I had was one of those just like 24-hour bugs. So the bug wasn't the problem. Actually, they said if I had just been sick, even as pregnant as I was, they would have just sent me home and been like, feel better, we're sorry, we know it stinks. But because I was having the contractions, hi! Because I was having those, they wanted to watch me. And so that was my story, you guys. And by the next day, I was fine. They gave me some sort of anti-nausea medicine during the night. They gave me a couple of bags of fluids to help hydrate me faster, and by the next day I was only having, I literally think the next day, Friday, I had maybe 7 contractions the entire day. So it definitely just stopped, and now I've had none. So anyway, yeah, it was crazy though, and a little scary, but then also because I wasn't dilating, once I heard that, I wasn't really scared anymore. But I still felt really sick, and that was the worst part. The cramping contractions, you know, those hurt, of course, but but besides that, I just was so sick feeling, you guys. I felt so nauseous, and I hate throwing up. And throwing up with this huge belly, like trying to like lean over a toilet, was awful. I was like, oh. So needless to say, that was my crazy excitement. But the only thing I feel now is I've just been really weak, like really, really weak feeling. So that's the only lingering thing, and that's normal. So I've just been trying to take it really easy. And yeah, that was my crazy story. So yeah, guys, totally just a bug was putting me into like really early labor. Like, that's crazy that that happens. But anyway, everything worked out. Grayson the whole time was like totally cool. His heart rate was like awesome, and he was just moving. I was like, well, he's clearly unaffected. And my fever was never so high that they had to worry about him. So it was like very low grade fever. So yeah, that was my story. That's what happened. But everything's better now. So thank the Lord.